Did you end up doing any testing yesterday?
We didn't. I was out setting up an auction. I didn't. I don't know if Mary Beth did or not. Um,
Okay.
it's just we're trying to establish like a date and time, and I think we're coming up, although now it doesn't really make sense to do it on Thursday since that's when we usually meet up. So we were thinking like around 3 o'clock every Thursday, because by then most of the auctions should be closed and we don't want to bog down the office too much with having to transfer duties. But now I'm thinking, I mean, Mondays are always horrible, so not Mondays, but I'm thinking like our internal Gen 2, come hell or high water, every Tuesday at 3 o'clock we'll be testing. Um, and I know it needs to be more than that, but just as a start, especially
Mhm.
now with y'all giving us the ability to have auctions remain static when y'all are still doing stuff in the back end, that is a big win for us when it comes to testing. Because like we were able to see this one all the way through, the last one that Mary Beth put up. Um, so
Okay.
that's
Okay.
Yeah.
our
What?
internal conversation about
Yep.
that.
Okay. Yep. It's
Right.
All right. So what I want to
time for
do
Dave to start.
here, we have the recording started, and I wanted to go over just really a couple of things that we are opening up for you to test with and to give us feedback on today. Uh, both of them really are set up to improve communications between the system and the bidder, and communications from the with the admin team about bidders' activities. So the first one I want to look at is me as a bidder. I want to show you what we have opened up for the bidder to see. If I click, if I'm logged in and I click on my bidder name up here, the drop down, and go to my profile, you will notice a new tab called My Documents. Now, if I click on My Documents, what I'm going to see is a list with the newest item on top. I'm going to see a list of all of the documents that have been emailed to me. In this case, there are a couple of invoices and a receipt. Now, I can click on those. Those document names are links. So I can click on that document name and it will open that PDF in my browser. Now, the presentation may be a little bit different depending on which browser you're using, whether it's Microsoft's browser or Firefox or, or Chrome. But in most cases, you're going to see a presentation of the PDF document with a print button and a download button, which means that I can click the download button and save it on my local machine, or I can click the print button and print it to my local printer.
And as noted before, it will have the watermark not paid on the
Yes.
invoices. Yeah.
That's temporarily removed to facilitate testing, but yes, it will be watermarked so that if the balance due is zero, it'll show in green that it's been paid, or if it's not zero, it'll show in red that it's unpaid. Okay, now that's communication from the system to the bidder. Now this hopefully will ultimately cut down on the need for emails, potentially. It's also a way for the admin team to feed back to the bidders if they say they didn't get their invoice, and they can simply tell them to, are you logged in now? Yes. Well, go to the top of your browser and click the drop down under your name and click My Profile, go to My Documents, and their invoice should be sitting right there at the top of the stack.
So fantastic.
Okay, any questions? Now, it's not presently implemented, but if person is logged in as a client, we will present all of the invoices and receipts that are captured for the client for an auction, and also all of the client's reports, so that the reports that are being emailed now will be if you as a company and your admin team chooses to allow a client a login on Gen2, then that login will enable them to have a My Documents tab that will have all of their reports, invoices, and receipts. Any feedback on that, Michelle?
That's a big deal. That's a big,
It is an alternative to the process that we go through now to email reports. So,
right.
anyway,
Yeah. Okay. Let's just keep trucking
but
because the other part's really
that
cool.
that's not implemented yet, but that's coming. Okay, the other piece is if I want to go look at if the admin team wants to look at communications with this particular bidder, then I'm looking for bidder number 32397. And I can go into the admin page and search for that bidder. A new tab has been added to the bidder profile to the right, and the tab's called Communications. Now, if you click on the Communications tab, you will see a list of all of the system generated communications by email to that bidder in most recent order. So the last thing that happened is on the top of the list. In this case, the last thing that happened was this bidder, was we sent them an email that there were changes made. There were changes made, and the bids were deleted.
I love all this. Question.
And yes.
I mean, this is gonna pile up. So I would assume that after we archive an auction, it will take all of these out of that bidder's communications tab? Or will that just go on forever here? Because the newest will be at the top. Like, is there a point where these
we are not removing them at archive just so, because if for some reason something happens and they have a question about an auction that ended a month and a half ago, we want it available. We can put a limit to this of only do the most recent 50 or something like that. But you are correct. The most recent is on top. So if this goes off the screen, we're not completely worried about it, because the only reason you'd be going down to the bottom is if they actually have a question about an email back then.
Okay.
Okay, so let's take a look
case,
at.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was about to say, in that case, we probably have to be investigating further anyway, so it's a moot point. Like this is all good. It's all good.
Okay, let's open one of these up and look at the possibilities. All right, so here's where we mailed a receipt to a bidder. We click on the view, and we see the email it was sent to, the date and time down to the second when the email was sent, the subject that was on the email, and the body of the email here. And all of this down here is the signature. Now, in the event there was a file that was attached to that email, and as is the case in a receipt or an invoice, then that will be a link at the bottom. It's potentially, I mean, the possibility exists, although I can't really give you an example. It can be one or more, but in most cases, there will be one file here. You can click on that, and as we saw earlier, your browser will display that PDF, and you can print it or save it. In most cases, and again, we're looking at this from the point of view of somebody in the Bates admin team. So in most cases, they're just looking. So when you're
An example of
limited
more
to,
than one. An example of more than one file will be a client getting emailed reports.
Okay. And the
all
greatest
right,
part is that we can just resend it immediately from that screen.
all right. So if whatever the body of this email and subject of this email was, or any attachment were, then if you click the resend button here, then it gets automatically resent by the system. If we pop over here, you'll see in the inbox, it has the subject has been modified with the word resend, and that is an indication that the email was not the original, but a copy. And same body and same attachments.
Awesome. And then when we went, if we were to go back into the bidders, we would see that it had been resent. Like as a bidder.
Let's see.
Not currently.
That is not the case now. Should it be?
I mean, if we're logging all actionable, I don't.
I can see that, it's possible you might see a string of half a dozen resends across here.
resends. Yeah, but then also,
So go back to the communication screen. So my thought is, if we're going to make a note of resend, actually go back to the actual view. So my thought is, where we have files on the bottom, we could have a note for resent on such and such at such and such a time. So it won't be in the master list, but it would be noted on the communication. So if you were to pull up a receipt, you could see, we've already resent this 3 times to you.
yeah, but it doesn't, I mean, they'll still need it again, so.
Yeah, I'm just,
No,
we'll
yeah,
have that,
you and I
note.
are on the same page, like it should be, like, there should be some sort of acknowledgement that this
Well,
has happened.
Or maybe if
well,
if we keep resending it, then maybe instead of resending it, they should be getting it themselves on in their My Documents.
Yeah, like we talked about before. At some point, the onus is still on them to make sure that they have their email address in there and they are logged in with their credentials.
yeah, and a good example of where that would happen is like this morning. I was beating my head against the wall trying to find this email, and I've sent it a couple of times in another test, and it just I didn't see it.
Yeah.
And finally, I went into my logged into gmail.com and looked, and it was in my spam folder for some reason. So I was getting it, but I didn't know I was getting it.
Gotcha.
So I'm sure that's a question that you ask when somebody says they're not getting emails. But
Always, yes, junk spam, yeah, junk spam, make sure we're on your white list, whatever, yada, yada, yada. I know that we have like those fits of issues with Yahoo and whoever, like when we just get blocked for a while from some of the major providers. I don't know what you call it. Yeah. but you know, that's what you get if you still got a Yahoo address.
Okay, so do you have any more questions? I mean, this basically is what we wanted to present today.
This is all so great. It's going to be a huge time saver. And like you mentioned, you know, the more the bidders learn about what they have access to, you know, the better it's going to be. And then the ease of us doing the resends, and that's going to be great. And just at a glance, knowing exactly what's on the board for that bidder right there, all at our fingertips, just boom, boom, boom. I love it.
I think one other thing that we had talked about, but we haven't really attempted to build out yet was, do you see a need to do a reply from here?
No, that'll get messy.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
I mean, no, I don't want them. I certainly don't want them replying. That'll just, no, that's messy. No, I think that could get
Okay.
out of control.
So
Okay.
the one thing that we have, and I don't know if this is but this is what I don't remember reply conversation, but there is the add new. Um, that's going to be if you need to send a fresh email to this bidder.
Oh, okay.
So, and it's not implemented currently, but if when it's set up, if you click add new, it'll bring up the mailer screen similar to what you see for the lot changes. So you'll be able to compose an email to a bidder and send it out, and then it'll show up in this list.
Well, that is actually kind of cool because, like, if we're doing reminders about, huh?
Well, that would be a one-on-one situation, not
Yeah.
necessarily a bulk. So,
No.
right.
Okay.
Anyway, you might want to talk amongst yourselves about that before we get back together.
Well, I mean,
And
I like anything proof of life, like our whole, like 98% of my emails are just CYA stuff that I send, you know? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and, uh, I mean,
So
that's not gonna that. So, yeah.
You use the word when we were talking about this being reminders. Um, if you could actually talk amongst yourselves and give us a list of reminders that would get sent out, um, my thought is my thought is we'd like to automate as many of those reminders as possible. Um, so if you want to do, if you say, oh, they have 5 days to pay at the end of when they have 1 day left, everyone who hasn't paid should get a reminder email.
Well,
Those types.
that already happens. I don't know if it's built in here, but currently, the system already generates. Well, it's after it's if they have not paid yet and they've been deactivated, then there's a system generated email that says, hey, you've been deactivated. Go ahead and pay this because it was due yesterday. And that, so that we have.
Yeah.
but that's after the fact. You might get a little more money in your pocket if it was before
No,
the fact.
I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm glad that this is being recorded so we can discuss it. Like, yeah.
So
I don't think a reminder. Well,
so we
but we're
do have
really,
outbid notices.
are all those going to be in here?
Yep.
Okay. Um,
And they stop 12 hours.
I mean, I don't, it would, if we're going to start doing notifications that they only have 1 day left to pay, would that be more of an automated thing as well?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well,
It'd be
let-
I mean, it'd operate in a similar fashion to the disable notice.
Exactly.
If
Um,
disable notice runs after close of business on the payment
yeah,
date,
and in this case, it would be the day prior.
before payment date.
Okay, would
Mhm.
that be costly, time consuming, or kind of easy to just go ahead and get going?
Oh, that's easy.
Okay, I like easy and
The
cheap.
hardest part is the hardest part is determining what to say, exactly how you want it worded.
Yeah, and we can come up with that version. Yeah, okay. I mean, I don't particularly think that that's overkill. Um, and if with the system doing it, it's fantastic. And we're just giving bidders less and less reasons to have excuses. Not that it'll stop them, but every little bit helps.
But in keeping with the spirit of this communications capability, all that stuff needs to go in here. And so that's going to create it. It's going to create more content in
Yeah,
this page when those things happen. Now, like the outbid notices, I think they stop happening. I think 12 hours
yeah.
before the auction closes to keep from getting when you get into a bidder's duel to keep from getting outbid notices every 2 minutes.
Would there be a way
So,
to not log the outbid notifications in here? Because they would be, that will muck it up so quickly to,
well, it won't. Well, certainly. I mean, if you say we don't, but I mean that kind of puts an asterisk
I know, I know, I know.
Um,
by communications law. But certainly, outbid notice, anything that's sort of in a class of its own, we can just say, don't log.
Yeah. Well,
we
again,
can,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
we can, I'll look at what's in this data, this data record, but we can have filter options up top as well. So if we
Oh, I
want to
see what you're
have,
saying.
okay, we want to only show invoices and receipts. Okay, well, so then it'll, the, it'll, the lot changes won't show up, won't be displayed, and outbid notices won't be displayed. We
Okay.
can, I have to check what, what's in this record, and maybe we may need to change what's of what's some of the information that's stored, but we should be able to have a filter option on top as well.
Okay. And then, this is one that I would definitely want to circle back with everybody at RBAI on, and just get their
Okay.
input. Okay, well, these are super, super fantastic. Um,
And so, yeah,
functionality.
so
Like this is great for ease of use on our end. I mean, and the bidders once they figured out. This is great.
so this will be available ultimately on clients as well. We haven't implemented on clients yet, but so yeah, clients will have it as well. So you can go in to see the communication with the client, and then resend stuff and do all those things. Hopefully, this we kept you kept saying, oh, we email things out to Rackspace to so we have a record.
Yeah.
This is the buildup of why why I've said we want to get away from you having to do that. And this stuff that we're doing here hopefully will save you from so you don't have to have that CC to a Rackspace email address on your emails. You can just go in here and easily look things up and resend if needed.
But that would be only generated, you know, like reports, like anything that the site's generating.
Yes, anything
Which is
that's
a
going
lot.
through the site,
That's
which is
major. Yeah.
anything that's going through the site, which is one of the reasons why we have we're going to have the add new or send email, so that ideally anything going to a client or going to a bidder, you don't use your own email client, you go through the system, and that way it's recorded, and anyone if the client calls the next day, and so if you email a client and the client calls the next day and says, what's going on with this email that Michelle sent me, but Jen is the one who answers the phone, Jen can look into the client record and see, oh, yep, she said this is what it says, this is what's going on, and they don't have to worry about, oh, that it's coming, that it's the outgoing messages in your email box, and they don't have access to it. So that's some of the idea that we're trying to get away from, is centralize everything and make it as more accessible to the whole team, no matter who's actually answering the phone.
Will it be resending to, I would assume, the main Mr. Super Client? Like,
Yes, that is. We will look at the options, because it is also, my thought is, you may be wanting to send something to a distribution list. So
yeah,
specifically on a client level. So we'll look at
or someone
what.
entirely different who then, I mean, we could pop in there and add them, I mean, as well. Like, it might be somebody that needs to be in there permanently or whatever. All right. Well, yeah, this is more, definitely Jennifer, Cheryl territory, so I'm just gonna hush.
But yeah, so it's the overall trying to, keep all the communications easily accessible, and have record of them, so that it's not a minimize some of this, try to clean up some of the stuff that has um, that you've had to do for record keeping.
All righty.
So okay.
Well, I think we have surpassed our 30 minutes.
Okay, do we want to set next Tuesday for to get together, or do you want to visit among yourselves and come back to me with a
I'll send
time?
out an email, and see if that's good for everybody.
How about do, since we have this recorded and there isn't much there, how about having something we talk going through on next Thursday instead?
Oh, okay. I just didn't want to slow y'all down in any way.
Oh no.
Well, we're working on, we have other pieces that we're working on, so you
Okay,
won't slow
I
us
just-
down. We want to, on the new stuff, we like to be able to react as quickly as possible if you find some issues or, some druthers as you go through it. So, it would be good if you could have a good testing session maybe before we get back together.
Yep.
Okay.
So I will tentatively, then we'll plan on next Thursday at 10 a.m. If
20th. Yeah.
but I will await to get confirmation back to you before I attempt to send out any invitations.
Okay.
Okay. All right. With that
Perfect.
said, thank you for your time. Thank you for your feedback. And we look forward to the next meeting and looks forward to getting test results back from you.
Very good.
So with that being said, I'm going to shut off the recorder and wish you a happy afternoon.
Okay.